So we're currently in the month of May and things are really taking off now. And in my cottage garden, one thing that I think is absolutely essential is self-seeding perennials and plants. Basically, self-seeding plants will unleash their seeds everywhere all over your garden and give you lots of free plants. Most of these on the list are incredibly easy to move around. You shouldn't have any trouble moving them when they're little seedlings. And they will help your garden feel more natural, more alive. Self-seeded plants will go exactly where is perfect for them after all. So I wanted to share some of my absolute favorites. Starting off, we have Erigeron karvinskianus. This is an absolutely prolific self-seeder. It's a decently hardy perennial, but even if your main plants don't come back looking too good, you can be certain that it will have self-seeded and given you tons of little plants around the garden. You tend to see this specifically around your sort of cracks in pavements and things like that. If you've got like old pavers that are falling apart, you're bound to see some of this self-seed into it. It ends up in sort of the most random places, which I think is really nice. I love that sort of look in a cottage garden where the plants just kind of appear in places almost they shouldn't. That really adds to the natural feel. So this is definitely a great self-seeder for your garden. By the way, I'm trying to hit 1,000 subscribers currently, so if you like gardening content, please consider subscribing. It would mean a ton to me, and hopefully I can reach my goal. Here we have Brunnera Jack Frost with these absolutely beautiful forget-me-not looking flowers. This is an incredibly early bloomer, and I know I said Jack Frost, but this applies to all of the different Brunnera. They are incredibly prolific self-seeders, and you will get these all around your garden. You may love the idea of that, you may not, but I personally think it's great because these are fantastic ground cover and a lovely pop of color for early spring as well. So they've got lots of utilities and they're a hardy plant. They're lovely foliage on them as well. So yeah, I would definitely encourage this one to self-seed around my garden and get lots and lots of them. Here we have Centaurea montana with these absolutely beautiful blue flowers. There are lots of different varieties of this. You might see ones in more white colors. I believe there are some in pink as well. And again, this is a very prolific self-seeder that will appear all over your garden. And they're so great. I love them. A very natural feeling plant, which is perfect for a cottage garden. So definitely one of my all-time favorites. These will look great in any cottage garden. Now I have to really head into the back of my border, but here is the most prolific self-seeder on this list, Verbena bonariensis, and I have lots more of these. You can tell by their unique foliage almost immediately if they've self-seeded into your garden. And in fact, I think if I walk into this border, I should be able to find one. Yes, look. Okay, do you see that? That is a Verbena seedling, and you can tell, I mean, just look at the foliage. It's basically the exact same sort of thing. So yeah, this will come up really, really tall. I'm talking like over 6 foot, and it'll come up with these absolutely beautiful pink flowers. I'm going to try and overlay a clip of some that I had last year, because they're not flowering quite yet in May. It'll be more like June, July sort of time. But yeah, I have tons of these. Many of them have self-seeded, and I'm just going to let them do their thing. You probably will want to move these though, because this is by far the most prolific on the entire list. And these little guys will literally go everywhere. Like I'm talking everywhere. They will self-seed across your whole garden, which might be a little bit annoying, but it is lots of free plants. But they're incredibly easy to move. So if you just want to move these to the back of your border, I recommend that, because you don't really want ones growing out here where they're going to get super tall and sort of get in your way. So yeah, Verbena bonariensis, a fantastic self-seeder. Now look at this beautiful Aquilegia. Aquilegia is another incredibly prolific self-seeder in your garden. Again, it'll give you that early spring pop of color, which you might really need. They get a little bit taller than this, and they're definitely a lot more prolific flowering. I only just planted this variety. And yeah, they are absolutely fantastic at self-sowing themselves across your whole garden. You're bound to see a lot of these appear, and it's very easy to tell if they have, because look at their very unique foliage. That's going to be a trick you're going to need to use to determine whether things have self-sown themselves or if they're weeds. If you don't weed a ton, then obviously this won't be too much of a problem. But if you are a prolific weeder in your garden, you've got to be careful because you don't know what might be a little plant. Give them a little bit of time and you'll surely know by some of the foliage on these. I mean, just look how unique that is. It kind of reminds me of a four-leaf clover in a way. Same with the Verbena. You should know by the foliage, so definitely look out for that. That's an important thing to note. Something which seems to be doing so incredibly well across England this spring is this beautiful red valerian. I can't remember what the actual technical name of it is. I've completely forgotten, but you can just look at this. Look at this. There's really tall stems with the absolutely beautiful red flowers. They're very subtle flowers, but even though it might not look like much right now, these will go absolutely crazy and they will self-sow like crazy as well. Again, they seem to be so prolific this year. Maybe they really like the fact it's been quite dry in England at the moment. I don't know. But yeah, you will see these pop up everywhere. Tons of free plants from the red valerian. And in fact, if I walk across my garden very quickly, it won't take me long because I have quite a small garden, then there are other varieties as well. Like, look at this really lovely white one. This is called red valerian. This one isn't red valerian. Let's see if I can actually find the name. Ah, that's it. I remember now. It's Centaurea ruba, and this one is albus. So that one is just the regular Centaurea ruba. This one is Centaurea ruba albus. And just look at those lovely white flowers. It gets pretty decently tall as well, and this is just a cottage garden essential in my opinion. Next we have the Silene dioica. I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing that right, but this is a wonderful self-seeding wildland plant. I believe this is actually native to the United Kingdom. At least I've seen this everywhere, especially along things like riverbanks and such. It gets decently tall, maybe like 3 foot, I don't know, something like that. And it's just wonderful. I mean, look how much it has flowered. I've deadheaded it a little bit to get some more. They aren't the most long-lived perennials. These are definitely what you'd call a short-lived perennial. But with the fact they self-seed themselves so much, that's not really a problem. You're going to get lots of these come up and really add to that natural cottage garden feel, which is kind of the purpose of this video, honestly, allowing things to go a bit more natural in that regard. Now, another one that I have to kind of really maneuver to find, here we go, is the Astrantia. This specific one is Astrantia buckland, and it is a wonderful self-seeding plant in your garden. There's another one at the back there. You get lots of different colors for this, mostly colors that are sort of within the red and pink sort of family, but there are some exceptions. And these are great cottage garden self-seeders. They're pretty low growing plants, like you can see next to this Geum. It's not too high at the moment, and it won't really get too much higher than that, maybe like a little bit. But still, these are a great self-seeder, and again, a cottage garden favorite. Alchemilla mollis is another great self-seeding plant, great for ground cover. Has these really interesting sort of yellowy lime green kind of flowers. I really like that. They can get a bit bigger than this, but again, they are primarily ground cover. I do have a bigger one. Let's see. Here's a slightly bigger one. This one's got bigger leaves on it, but again, they can get bigger than even this. So yeah, a perfect ground cover plant. Look at it next to the Brunnera that I mentioned earlier. Kind of as this one starts to die off, this one will actually come up. So they might be a good combination to have next to each other. And yeah, you should see this appear in lots of different places. Just make sure to move it, of course. Otherwise, you won't really be able to see it if it self-seeds itself into the back of a border. You know, I do sort of mention the natural look, but sometimes you do have to move things around because, I mean, what's the point of them self-seeding if you don't actually get to enjoy them? So yeah, you do have to move things around sometimes, but generally plants will usually go where they want. Maybe not in terms of height, because obviously they don't know that, but the right kind of conditions for them. Thalictrums are another great self-sowing plant. This one isn't in flower yet, sadly, but they get incredibly tall. Now, this one is probably just about 2.5 foot at the moment, maybe 3 foot. But it will get a lot taller than that. It can get to like 5 foot. Some of them I think even get to 6 foot. They can be incredibly strong with these really beautiful flowers. They look so nice. They're great for the back or the middle of a border. Definitely you want some of these. They're really airy plants as well. So yeah, they will self-sow themselves nicely around your garden. So these are some of my absolute favorite self-seeding plants. If you want a natural feeling cottage garden, I highly recommend getting them. Hopefully more of these things will start to flower soon, but I've tried to give my best sort of illustration of everything that is going on. Still, let me know your thoughts on some of your favorite self-seeding perennials down in the comment section below. And don't forget to subscribe